Well, hello there, Assurance Heroes, and welcome to the A-Plan podcast. A is for assurance, and this is your weekly audit and risk talk show. He's Emre, the tech guy.
He's Andy, the communication guy.
All right, guys, what have we got for you this week? This week's topic is how can you handle risk blindness or risk recklessness from your C-suite?
Well, the leadership and at the end of the day makes or breaks the quality of risk management in any organization.
100%.
And when we're talking about any organization, we can think about a country, we can think about a state agency, we can think about a private organization, a public organization.
Yeah, family unit, right? At the end of the day, anywhere where we've got some kind of hierarchy going on, this is what we're talking about, right?
Exactly. And not all the organizations functions the same way. There are some organizations that are admired by many people. We call them great place to work type of companies. But on the other hand, there are also companies that no one wants to work for. Those dystopic organizations, those dog-eat-dog style organizations.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be an internal auditor in an organization like that, it's a reality for a lot of people. It's a reality, I'm sure, for some of our viewers. And I don't envy you this, right? Because at the end of the day, you're there, you got your integrity, you got your pride, you got your desire to do your job well. But you're fighting a very difficult battle, one that perhaps you can't even win.
Exactly. You remember George Orwell's 1984?
Love it. One of my favorites. Yeah, absolutely love it.
Yeah. And you remember the hero of the book, Winston Smith?
Winston Smith, yeah.
To 40 group, take your places, please.
Winston Smith, he was working for the recording department in Ministry of Truth.
Ministry of Truth, yeah.
While I was reading the book, there was a question that I asked myself. What if one day Winston Smith would be appointed as an internal audit inside the Ministry of Truth?
Yes, oh my God. Inevitably, he would end up where he ended up, which is the Ministry of Love, which is, of course, the worst. The Ministry of Love, where they love you so much they break you. Yes, my God, it's a great thought experiment. So what would you do in the worst case scenario in this dystopia? You're Winston Smith and you're an internal auditor in the Ministry of Truth.
Yeah, well, there are clearly many organizations like Ministry of Truth where you have issues concerning setting the tone at the top, the ethics, where your personal values as an auditor, as a person, might not be matching the values of the organization that you're working for. Even though you may have the procedures in place, they don't necessarily help to reveal the issues inside the company, unfortunately. Yeah. And unfortunately, there are many auditors who are working in such organizations today.
The fact that our eternal allies in Eurasia are turning against us. More nests of conspirators and saboteurs have been uncovered, and further arrests are expected shortly.
You can... Yes.
There are three different ways that we can influence. So the first one is to be persuasive. Persuasion is ultimately about trying to create a win-win. So connect your interests and their interests, create a mutual interest to make the other person want to say yes. So we might use lots of different persuasive methods, narrative persuasion, we might tell a story, analytical persuasion, we might give the facts and figures. But ultimately, this is an ethical approach. We've also got on the other extreme coercion. So coercion is where we brandish a threat. We have a stick. There's no incentive like persuasion. There's no carrot. There's a stick. So if I'm going to coerce you, I need to find something that you're frightened of and threaten to hit you with it. And you're going to do what I say. If you stop being frightened of my stick, it's quite simple. I'm just going to go and get a bigger one. In the middle, we've got manipulation, where we tell a lie or we don't tell the whole truth. We can seal that to try and trick the person into doing what you're doing. But I think ultimately, you may find yourself in a coercive or a manipulative organization. So how is that going to affect you as an auditor? Exactly. If you stand up to coercion, you're going to be attacked. This is what's going to happen. You're going to be attacked. And the attack is going to come on 3 levels. The first level of attack is going to be your idea, your facts, your figures, your arguments. They're just going to try and poke holes in this, try and break it down. If that fails, we're going to come to the second level, the deeper level. And that's an attack on your authority and your credibility. Attack your professional judgment. They're going to try and gaslight you or do something like this. The final thing, the final stand, the worst possible place to be is an attack on your personality. So they attack you, who you are, your beliefs, what you look like. This is what the ancient Greeks called the ad hominem. I can't beat your argument, so I attack you as a human. I attack you as a person. You'll very quickly understand if you're in that situation. And if you are, I would say you need to try and get yourself out of it.
How does one man assert power over another? By making him suffer. Exactly.
I've seen a peak of inflated expectations where we expect the internal audit functions to address this risk of lack of tone at the top. Conducting an audit for tone at the top, for me, doesn't seem to be realistic, where the auditor cannot obtain the broad management support.
Yes.
For instance, imagine that the senior management doesn't frown on gamesmanship when reporting financial results.
Yeah.
And as an auditor, you are tasked to carry out an audit on financial reporting. Okay.
Yes.
The odds of developing this risk blindness or risk recklessness of the internal audit function altogether, or the majority of the internal auditors in such circumstances, is rather high. It is rather, first of all, the role of the regulator to ensure the independence of the internal audit function.
That's right.
So the internal audit doesn't remain under the influence of the CEO or the senior management.
I think the one thing you should be very wary of, and it's something that can easily happen, we can fall into this trap step by step, is self-censoring.
Exactly. And it is the most difficult and most important risk that any internal audit function should regularly check.
This is the end, beautiful friend.
I think ultimately, as we said, you may find yourself in a toxic organization. And what you may find there is that you're being coerced, you're being manipulated. And this can be extremely intense and extremely difficult to deal with. You need a B plan. You need to try and get yourself out of there, because the biggest risk, if you don't, you can literally end up like a Winston Smith. You can end up as a sort of self-censoring auditor who's no good to anyone. The job is not easy. The job is extremely difficult. And for some people, it requires a huge amount of bravery. And if you're a person like that in a situation like that, then we salute you and we're with you. And absolutely, we respect what you're trying to do and keep the good fight. But for God's sake, look after yourself and get yourself out of there if you need to. So, what time is it?
If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team.
It's A-Team time. If you have an assurance problem, if no one else can help you, then we can, because we're your assurance agony ants. Send your questions and comments to the aplan@zohomail.eu, and we'll be more than happy to help. So that's it for this week, Assurance Heroes. This has been the A-Plan podcast. A is for assurance. Remember, when your A-Plan's good, you don't need no B-Plan.